Is that going? Yeah, that seems to be going. I'm not sure whether
Right.
Michael. I'll let Michael know that we were meeting. So,
I mentioned it to him, and he
yeah,
said if he really needed to be here,
yeah.
I'm sure he's
I,
quite busy doing
I
other
think
things, but yeah,
I think Michael's sense is so Michael knows that we sort of do the advertising at that lower level, right? So typically for the people that I'm working with, they're usually that local business that's sort of spending um, generally between $5 and sort of $10 a day tops around their advertising. Right, so they
yeah,
sort of build it in. So that sort of means that my management sort of, costs around that sort of, let's say from 200 and something, and then if they add their the budget for the, it's kind of almost half the way that a lot of our clients
yeah,
tend to apportion their budget. So you've got somebody managing the post, the habit,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then you've got the ads running, which is getting to the new people that don't at this point know you. So those target audience. So we'll talk a little bit about that today. So did you
yeah.
get a chance
Great,
to have a look at what I sent you?
absolutely.
Yeah,
God, yes, not just once, a few
awesome,
times.
very good
I've
notes. Yeah,
written down some questions.
sure. Yep, no problem.
I'm going to try and pace myself. For some reason, when I do this online stuff, I just get really nervous and I speed talk, and it's just, yeah, it's not good. So I'm going to try and just pace myself
No
today.
worries. It sounds like
We
you and
have an
me have
hour,
some
do we?
similar. You and me have some similar characteristics, Mariska. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I don't
yes,
know why
sir.
I feel so rushed. Like I've got to get it all out now. It's just,
Oh
I
yeah,
think that's my life. It's the
yeah. For
story of my
me,
life.
it's yeah. I think I talk both faster and louder when I get excited about a certain thing. So,
Yeah, well, that's
um,
good. See, I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that's a good thing too.
yeah.
It
So,
shows you're in, you're committed to what you're saying, which is great.
yeah, and look, realistically, uh, the fact that you've got questions and that sort of stuff, as you said, maybe in a way, let's go through it, and then even as we go through, maybe make a little, there'll be opportunities to sort of raise some questions and that sort of stuff too. Geez, is that
I can
Mohammed or
see
Michael
Michael
that's just joined us? You, you're starting to, you're, start,
Steve,
you're starting to look more like my Muslim brothers every day, my friend.
I know I'm counting the days I can get back into the barber because I do a
Oh yeah,
shopping job.
true.
So yeah, no, it's
That's actually
So
quite
is
good.
that 3 months worth, is it?
yeah, about that. Sorry, I'm late. I had another meeting run over schedule.
I've sort of said to my wife, I don't know if I've said this to you, Mariska, but she doesn't like me growing anything. I sort of grow it just because I think it makes me look a little bit wise, and I'd quite like to grow it
Like a
long
little
and
goatee.
put a bead on the end, so that I look like.
Yeah, that sounds great to me. That's
But
good.
but the thing is, we've got a 5-year-old, and Huong knows that her barb she goes, you look like his grandfather. so so that always sort of makes me then go, okay, yeah, I'll shave it off then. All right. Anyway, Mike, we were just sort of talking about the fact that both Mariska and I can be fast talkers, so we're going to sort of pace ourselves out. Realistically, I did mention the fact that um, we do the management side of things, and we do generally at that small level around the advertising side of things. And I just sort of mentioned that that's something that you can look at, and we know that Mariska's got a proposal there perhaps as well. But we kind of felt. Michael and I spoke as well. We want to make sure that
Yes,
you're you're set up right and you got every chance to succeed. Right? We were
me
talking to each
too.
other. You were the absolute classic that would probably come to us and not realize if they go to it often, maybe even people like Telstra or some of this agency types, you'd probably walk away, you'd spend a bomb with them, and you think it didn't work, but there'd be some fundamentals reasons why it didn't work, and so
Yeah,
I'll talk through that today, because we're going to make sure that you've got every opportunity to really have this work for you, right? So both Michael
definitely.
and I,
That's
that's why I kind of work, right? So at the end of the day, it's about helping people do well in their business and give them every chance to succeed with, with a social media and Facebook advertising strategy. So to that end, let's go into this audit. I mentioned to you, and people often, like yourself, often will say, well, why are you doing an audit? I haven't got some of these ones. So often we do the audit because we want to make sure that, what are people going to be searching for your business? and what are we
Yeah.
going to call your business? And that's a little bit what we spoke about last time, Mariska. So
Yes. Yeah.
I've sort of done it on the basis that initially I actually just put in pet and homewares just to see what came up, and then I thought I'd sort of trial it then by putting Mariska in front. The difference is actually when you put Mariska in front, competition and ads don't come up above it. So that's quite interesting, I thought.
Oh,
So it suggests
right.
to me that no, mate, not. Okay, he's pushing. He knows that if in a meeting he come and ask me for something, just on the hope that I'll give him something to make him go away. So
Is
anyway,
that a person or an animal?
yeah, no, it's a little person animal, yeah, a
Oh, okay.
five-year-old person.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, a little bulldog. Um, so yeah, so basically in here, this is Mariska Pet and Homewares. What is interesting in actual fact, clearly, because this search, when I put that in, clearly it starts looking for closer to where I am, right? So it'll come up with the Melbourne ones. But you do
Yeah,
actually
okay.
come, once we put Mariska in, you do actually come up because of your Global
Because of
Sisters
Global
site.
Sisters,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
But I would be making sure from a naming, and this is what we spoke a bit about last time, you could really start to own this Mariska Pet and Homewares online, and that way, what you would hope would happen over time is that you would actually start to come up, with your social medias being shown as well. So at the moment, the only
Okay.
thing that comes up is that site with Global Sisters. But
Yeah.
once we do things like Mariska Jenks's LinkedIn profile, we create the business profile on the other social medias, what would
Yeah.
start to happen is that all your social medias will start to appear as well. And it seems to me that Mariska, maybe other than this Mariska Majors,
Oh,
there's not.
yeah. There's lots of us over there in Eastern Europe. I'm
Yeah,
half
yeah, that's
Dutch,
right.
so
But
there's lots of Dutch versions and Russian
mm,
versions, and
but the
yeah,
advantage
I think
here
there's
is that,
another
yeah,
Australian one
yeah, the
doing some
advantage here, and that's why you could
stuff.
put your name probably in front of anything, and it would probably be quite advantageous, in terms of
Okay.
whatever you decided.
Yeah.
As I said, we typically then look at what the website that does come up. So, um, do you have a timeline on the website as far? Because I think you were saying you were
I've
looking at
just
doing.
been tweaking my logo design, my
Yep,
icon logo design, and
yep.
what I've done is I've changed it to Mariska, color your world underneath, and then underneath that it says pet beds and homewares.
Right. Okay.
So that's been. I've just got to get one vector sorted out to send to her, and then she's going to probably have that done within. Well, she's always said within 2 to 3 days. So
Okay. Often they can
yeah.
give you a bit of a. They can give you a development site link. So if you want to share that back with me at some point, then I'm happy to look at that and give you a few
Okay.
tips as well. So, and let you know how how we'd suggest. So clearly at the moment we've got this, so I can't really show you. What I might do is
I printed everything off
I,
on
I
hard copy.
I'll show you. Well, clearly, one that you can always refer to is our own business. So we don't do anything, but
Yeah.
we've been taught to read websites top left, down, and up, right? So your
Okay.
social media should sit up the top here in terms of how you click.
Right.
We put in a couple of plugins down below to show that we are active. Um,
Right.
and clearly for me, the main call to action is to ask for an audit. For you, the main call to action would be shop online now, potentially, or something along
Yeah.
those, and
Yeah.
it would take you
Yeah.
through to the various products. Now,
Yeah.
that's not to say that we couldn't work with this one and having this secondary website, which we already know is actually it is searchable. So you have a secondary
Out there.
website. So
Yeah.
it's not to say that we couldn't point people to here. The problem probably is that we can't. You probably can't put your socials on here. You probably can't put a pixel behind here. That
Yeah.
sort of stuff.
I don't know any of that. I think there is room to move with all of that. But look, this is all going to be changed. All this bio and stuff, that's all been rewritten.
Yeah,
I just need to okay it. Everything's that little logo. It's all changing. So I think let's just wait because hopefully next week
yeah,
the
sure.
website will be live.
And so,
What
and
do you
then,
think?
and even around, absolutely, that's fine. So, yeah, and so it'd be good to sort of see that because, good copywriting, it doesn't matter whether it's the website or social media sites, is all about what's in it for me, right? So, we want to move you to slightly bigger than just Mariska Color Your World, right? So I know you are your business, but the
Yeah.
reality is
Yeah.
the language should read about why do I need a pet bed for my dog or my cat,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So,
I'm going to take notes.
yeah.
While,
So
yeah.
basically, we have been making coloring people's worlds with pet beds and various other homewares for many years now. If you want somewhere for your dog to lie comfortably in a colourful way, whatever, you know what I mean. But there's an element of
Yeah.
use a loose rule of thumb is use one we an hour and two you and your. So the
Okay.
language should be more you and your. Is that something you familiar with as well, Michael? Yep. So you might be able
Yeah,
to. Yeah.
personal. It makes it relatable. It makes it sound like you're actually talking to your customer
Yeah.
personally and directly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So when you say one we an hour, so
Yeah, so here the reason I was reminded because it straight away starts. I mean, it's got Mariska, right? So, and we've already talked
yeah,
about some of the weaknesses on this, and
yeah,
you said you're
yeah,
going to go and change that, right?
yeah,
And to a degree, this may suit this because really, in this case, this is for global sisters, and the sister in this case is Mariska, right? And
yeah,
so, really,
yeah,
you
yeah.
are talking about I, but on your website, you'd probably want to change that sort of language.
Okay.
You could
Yeah.
use the royal we, because
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mariska Pet and Homewares, is relying on suppliers. You probably have bookkeeper, you've got social media, so there becomes a collaborative we
It
in what
becomes,
you're doing,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah.
and you don't want to make yourself look too small. So you can see here it's I have, I
Yeah.
have, I
I
love,
think this
I
was
have.
about, yeah,
Yeah,
it was
so
about
I
me. This,
use. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
again,
yeah.
so
That's
and
terrible.
that's
Horrible.
and it makes sense
Oh,
because of the nature uh as I said, the
that's the
site that it's
feature.
on. Yeah,
Yeah,
but in
yeah,
terms of your
yeah,
language and certainly any posts that we do, we
yeah,
would sort of take the I. We would never use the word I in any of
yeah.
our posts, right?
I
Unless we're
does not
quoting
exist.
from things, right? So we just don't do it, right?
Yeah, no,
Um,
that's fine.
so it's all about you and your, generally speaking, right? So to get a black and to inquire for your, for
Yeah, yeah,
your pet,
yeah.
go to the site, find out more, right? So the good thing
Okay.
is, so that's the copywriting. On the flip side, you've got a lot of really good imagery. Any
Yeah, I've
one
got
of these,
some more coming
yeah.
up
So
soon. Yeah.
I would say to you that I saw at the moment. We'll get to it in a second, but something like this would make um, an awesome cover across your social media, right? Something that's got a
Right.
dog,
Well,
yeah,
interesting. Oh, you mean with the dog?
with the
Okay.
dog on it.
Yeah.
Seeing effectively here, rather than all these ones. I think I saw it. I think that's on our next one when we get to Facebook, where you
Yeah,
show all the
they're no good.
products, and
Yeah.
it's very, it just sort of, it doesn't resonate, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
to a degree, are they pet beds or are they hats or what people would
What are
fly
they?
straight
Yeah.
past it,
Yeah.
right? As soon as you put a
It's
pet
actually
on there,
designed on a hat.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
The other one,
as soon as you see it, it's on its way.
strangely.
So
Yeah.
anyway, but that's to say to you, I think that the photos that you have and you clearly have access to are
I
quite
got
good.
loads more than that.
Yeah, yeah,
Those now. Yeah.
yep. Well, it looks like I was thinking, oh, why is this message thing up? But clearly, when I printed this off, I had a message from Orly. Um, so
Oh.
this one here is I did actually put in Mariska Jenks. Now our
Yes.
strategy is largely around. I've kind of Michael kind of knows this, right? I've got a two-pronged strategy with regards to my business. I use social media marketing and Facebook advertising, but I also use relationship building and networking, right? And the
Yeah.
best relationship building networking online is LinkedIn, right? So we'd want you to be all star for your business.
You
So
you
and
you've mentioned that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so we'd want to create a Mariska Jenks profile that basically explains to people why you're awesome at what you do. Yeah, so
Okay.
yeah, and so there's all sorts of opportunities within that. So I don't know about you, Michael, but I certainly don't know anybody else that makes uh, handmade pet beds. I just don't, right? So
Very
With
niche.
sustainable fabrics and recycled
correct.
materials
Yep, that's
in
right.
Australia. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that makes you pretty unique. I
Okay.
imagine there probably is, but you can get some
Yeah,
competitive
sure.
advantages. They're probably at markets and things along those lines.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've
So,
got
but they're
questions
yeah,
around that
yeah,
written here. You just
yeah.
let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, but they're
Questions.
not
Yeah.
they're not using this sort of strategy, right? So that's the point, right? So
Yeah.
so this is a good strategy to use with that, right? So
Okay.
um oh yeah, this one was actually just to see what came up, I believe, when I actually put in pet and homewares. I couldn't find anything, to be fair. So it suggests to me that you could own Mariska pet and homewares pretty comfortably without
So
having Oh, so this nothing comes up when you do actually put in the
yeah,
name, clearly, because there's
there's
nothing
nothing.
there, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um
Not yet.
yeah.
That's for
This
sure.
one was oh sorry, is that oh here we are. I don't
Oh, that's
normally
my
put
personal
yeah.
Facebook. Yeah.
I only put that there is because um I didn't know I couldn't find a Facebook page to start with. I think you'd mentioned that you had one,
Oh,
but I
right.
couldn't
Yeah.
find it. It was only when you sort of I remembered that you said you had the Instagram, and then I thought, oh, actually, maybe you got a Facebook called the same. So once I realized it was handmade, so yeah. But just so you understand the premise of any social media, Mariska Jenks, this person here, is the
Yeah.
owner admin. Right, you're the
Yes. Yeah.
owner of your social
That,
media. So yes, you have your
that much
personal
I know.
profile, and
Yeah.
it's up to you to decide whether you tell people that you are the owner of your Mariska handmade.
Right. I
Yeah, so
was trying to
you create that
stay.
page together. Yeah,
Yeah, I was trying to keep business and friends separate in the sense of I don't want all my friends to follow me and like me. I just I don't need that. I
well,
just want it.
pages are separate. You can decide
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
you can decide
Yeah.
which friends you want to, because that can be a mistake. Just by the way,
Right.
you know.
Okay.
So effectively, if you want to be successful in this, I would suggest to you that at very minimum, you tell people that's where you work, right? Not that you're a self-employed design and color. That doesn't mean anything to me. You
All
know what I
right.
mean?
That
So
you know what? I can't work out how to input in that.
yeah, yeah. So we'll show you how to do that in terms of just
Yeah,
to
I've
edit your
tried that and it
personal.
just
So
comes up as that.
a
Yeah.
lot of my more senior, or let's call it the mature ones that are 10 years younger than me and 10 years older than me,
Yeah.
effectively, there's been plenty that I've actually put on Facebook, just to make sure that they actually are able to then own their own page, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's always an interesting exercise because it's like, Dad, shit, you're on Facebook. What's going on? But anyway, yeah, here it's, as I said, people don't realize you could still, by way of privacy, you could still keep as private as you like. Just because I follow your page doesn't mean I see anything to do with Mariska. But one of the benefits,
Yeah.
and what I certainly do, and I had to educate my parents around, Mum,
Hmm.
Dad, when I'm posting on my profile, I don't want you talking on that. But at the same
No.
time, the reality is that's because they chose to follow my business, right? But
Yes.
but that just requires a little bit of education. But
Yeah.
remember, other than ourselves, um, the people that want you to do well in life and in business are often your family and friends, and they're often customers potentially as well, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, so and they know a lot of people too, right? So
Yes.
that's the
Yeah.
power of the business. But I just put that in there just because I wanted to find. Initially, I was thinking, oh, can I find you? Basically,
Yes. Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. We talked a little bit around this, but at the moment, yeah. So I would be renaming this in terms of so it becomes Marissa Handmade, probably one word, and then pets
Okay.
and homewares.
So
Yeah, yeah.
if I rename it, I have this memory from when I got this going that you lose everything once you rename it. Is that
No,
right?
no, you don't lose
Okay.
anything.
All
You
right.
basically can only rename it so often. That's the only thing. So you can
Oh, it's
once
probably that I'm
and
remembering.
and
Okay.
your URL and that sort of detail. We'd want to have a consistent URL. But yeah,
Okay.
this is beyond my normal social media marketing speak. But some of the conversation we had last time, um, social media marketing just won't work if you don't have a decent name and business strategy, right? So
All right. So
if
what should it be named at then? I'm quite happy to be
yeah,
guided
yeah.
by
So we
you.
would do that in the setup session. So
Oh, okay.
basically, yeah. So it
You
should
would
be.
do
Yeah,
that.
we
Okay.
do that,
Yeah.
right? So yeah. So you don't. Again, any of this sort of stuff, we don't just. This the idea of this isn't just to guide you to go away and do it yourself, right? So that'd be like that'd be like my TV antenna man telling me what he's going to do on the roof,
Yeah.
and then me getting the ladder out, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Yeah. Yeah.
dangerous, and I'll probably still stuff it up.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so
Me
ultimately, I'm
too.
just telling you what the improvements that we'd make, and
Okay.
we fly through it. It's sort of in a 3 hour session that we go and just
Okay. Yeah.
basically either
Do it
set
all.
up or revise all
Yeah.
these things, right?
Yeah.
And make
Okay.
sure
Yeah.
they're named properly. Again, we'd change the cover and we'd update.
Yeah.
your logo. I actually, for now, the reason I wasn't sure whether the one that was sitting on the sisters was the logo that you're going to use, but I do remember
No,
now
God,
that you
no.
were, yeah, yeah, you were
Yeah,
doing that.
no, absolutely not. That was like 10 minutes on Canva. That's just,
All right. Yeah,
no.
no worries. So, and clearly these ones are coming through from
From
Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So,
the other lady was pushing them through, so they've got all the hashtags.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and they're terrible. Just yeah. So basically,
Okay.
so basically, particularly
I
on
won't tell her
yeah,
that.
then they're okay on Instagram. But although
Yeah.
I've even heard on Instagram now, sort of 3 to 4 is probably the most before it starts to take a knock on the algorithm in terms of organically.
All
Um,
right. What about
Although
this
I was in
30
a
number?
session yesterday that I heard on Instagram, it's okay, but we certainly don't use more than 3 and 4 where we're pushing it across, and they would be the standards, right? So you'd probably have Mariska Handmade, you'd probably have pet beds, and you'd probably have homewares maybe. So you might use 3 key hashtags, and that's it. Um,
Okay.
and forget searchability and that sort of stuff. Um, the reality is, people again using that sort of 45-year-old something, they would look at this in their news feed and go,
Yeah.
"What the is this person doing with all these hashtags?" Most of us react really badly to
I
so
don't
many
even look
hashtags.
at the hashtags.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's a good point in itself, right? So it's all about the news feed.
Yeah.
I'm only seeing this because I've gone onto your page. If
Yeah.
you've ever looked at, the amount of people that see your post compared to the amount of people going to your page, you've
I
got a
don't know what that
website for that.
is.
Well, I can tell you
Yeah.
generally, depending how many people are following at the moment. Well, not many, right? So you'd
105
want
or
to build
something.
this, right? Or we'd want to build this with you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you've got 35 on a good day.
Oh, that's
No
Facebook. Yeah.
no promotion, you've probably got somewhere between 5 and 10 people seeing a post, depending
Okay. Yeah.
how often they're being posted. As soon as we spend $1, we know that we can kind of get. I've mentioned before, $5 tends
Yes,
to
you
be our
have.
standard
Yeah.
for a business like yours. Very similar to a business we do, one called Bounty Boxes, which is a
Okay.
hampers business,
Yeah.
um, where it's kind of crosses over between educating and entertainment. People like to
Yeah.
see puppies looking at them on sitting on nice beds. So
Yeah.
you'll probably do better organically, but you'll probably do better when you spend $1 as well. So
Yeah. Okay.
for the sake of spending $5, all of a sudden you're going to get tens of thousands of people seeing it, and high hundreds to thousands either engaging or traffic through to website.
Okay.
That's based on what we kind of know with others, right?
Okay.
Yep.
So
So
that.
yeah,
Okay. No, I mean, yeah. And there's more of all of this coming. The homewares and stuff. That's all.
yeah. So for me,
Yeah.
just so the way I'll talk about the way we use the strategy. So for me, any content, when you say there's more coming, then when people say that to me, I say, great. I look forward to seeing it all on the website.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
Right, so
Yeah.
we never do social media for social media's sake, right? So we never
Yeah.
post
Yeah.
this really nice image,
Yeah.
just on social media because it's, as I've said, at the moment, maybe 20 people get to see it
Yeah.
on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
There's no, because we're not advertising, there's no call to action on any of these.
Right.
And until we promote them and get a bigger following, you're not going to get a lot of benefit from your social media. You're not going to, the
Okay.
only where you're going to get the benefit from is being searchable as well on the,
Yes.
and so it's funny that in actual fact that your Instagram didn't come up in the search in the same way. And maybe it would have had I put in Mariska Handmade just in the
Right.
search engine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I was
Instagram's
saying,
been funny with the search lately. I don't know
yeah,
what. I'm trying
yeah.
to work it out.
The other thing is, and I did say this, I think to you last time. I actually like your Instagram feed compared to a lot of people when they first come to us is actually pretty reasonable. I
Well,
quite
that's
like
the
it.
lady that
Yeah,
was the other sister
yeah.
who was doing it for me. Yeah.
Yeah, so I quite like it in terms of, we're not about curating
Sure.
an Instagram, which sometimes people make the mistake of thinking I want a
Yep.
curated Instagram page. Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
again, what's the point of having a curated Instagram page? You really want them to go to your shop where they're going to buy stuff,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
but this could easily. This looks close, right? It's nice. It's nothing offensive here, right? It's actually an attractive,
Yeah.
and in many ways, I think it does what we'd hope to get all the other things doing, but we want to start driving them to where we want to drive them,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So that's certainly your best of. Clearly couldn't find anything on Twitter. Twitter's another one. It just helps probably from a search. We just want to own it. We want
Yeah.
to own your name. We want to own your profile. We want to
So you're
own.
suggesting that I have a Twitter
So we'd
account?
create a Twitter as well. So again, just to help place you. Where is she
Okay.
based?
Am I
Where's the
going to have
branch?
to interact with that?
Uh, well, again, we're just publishing through it, right? So
Okay.
on a
All right.
daily or every second
Okay.
basis.
All right.
So the
Yeah.
amount of
Well,
interaction you would get would be very low, generally speaking.
all
Less
right.
than
But it just
20%
needs
of
to be
Australians
there.
have any clue how to use it, right? So again, it's just um, uh, helping own your own name and profile.
Okay.
Because
Right.
if
I
you don't
get it.
own it, then you don't know that it's someone basically says, "Does anybody know?" Or if anybody goes looking for you, that those 20%, I would
Yeah.
say there's probably 5% Australians pretty passionate. They love Twitter, right?
Yeah. I mean,
For
I've
all
got
sorts of
friends who
things.
use
Yeah,
it all the
yeah, yeah.
time.
So
Yeah.
for me, it's typically the Q&A set, right, on
Okay.
ABC. And for those
That's the
people
one.
like me that want to get sports results really quickly
Yep.
and or
Yep.
world events. So you may as well be on it. The other advantage of Twitter compared to the others, its algorithm lets everything through the keeper. So in other words,
Okay.
100% of your tweets are visible to those people that are following you.
All right.
Compared
Okay.
compared to Facebook, Instagram, and everything else,
Yeah.
um, next to bugger all. Often,
Okay.
if you're not promoting, right? So that's
Okay.
the advantage. And so the Twitter impressions, which we have a look at, we turn the analytics on, are actually quite high. The only issue is if all of a sudden it's sort of marketed from the States, the value of it can be fairly low. But yeah, it's still something that you may as well own rather than have other people take
Okay. So
advantage
it's
of
about
your name.
owning it,
It's about
essentially.
owning your brand.
Okay.
It's
All
about
right.
owning your brand
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the six main
That's been
socials, right?
drummed into me by someone else. It's saying you've got
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
yeah, you got to own it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
so again,
Okay.
it's interesting when doing there is some pet product stuff that comes up. Um, but yeah, clearly again, you'd want to have the thing about YouTube is that and I should have mentioned before if I didn't already, but I don't think I did. But what we'd want to do is create your Google My Business. So in actual fact, when you put in your name. So
Yeah.
again, just so you basically, so social media is something that's quite difficult to own. You agree, Michael, in terms of from a search perspective. So this Google My Business, which we create, is actually you, right? So we put that on the website again so that people know where you're based. They can review you off this Google My Business. So reviews
Yeah.
are really important. And so we have this link. So that's all this Google My Business is. And then when we put your name in, all of a sudden hey, we've got a good old Adrian's up the top there as our profile one at the moment. But yeah, basically it just locates you. Has all your reviews on there and that sort of stuff,
Okay.
right?
Yep. That's
And
fine.
then
Yeah.
the other thing that I was going to say is, and the other Google product is YouTube, and
Yep.
YouTube actually is the second best landing page going around, I reckon, after your website, because effectively what we do is we put all your social media and your website links onto your YouTube channel, right? So that even if you don't have any video content to start with, at least we've got got people can find all your other stuff. And so again, YouTube, owned by Google. Google,
Okay.
biggest search engine,
I'm out
helps
there.
people find you, right?
If I do what you say, I'm out there then. So that's great.
Well, that's right. So again, it's about being set up to have some chance of succeeding, right? So
Yeah. No,
ultimately,
that
so
that's good.
they're the 6 sites, right? So you got your Google My
Okay.
Business. We've got Mariska on LinkedIn herself. It's basically an online business card for your business.
Okay. Yep.
We create the business on LinkedIn because we can post through that business.
Okay.
We update your Facebook page. We update your Instagram and integrate the two. It sounds like you may have
Yeah.
them integrated already. We create your Twitter, and then we create your YouTube side of things.
Okay.
So
And that's the revision and setup one, isn't
session,
it?
that's
Yeah.
correct. Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
we
Yeah.
just
No,
do it
that's
on
cool.
this.
I think we'll
Yeah.
have to do that. Yep. That's
Does that all
awesome.
make
Yep.
sense? Yep. So
Yes, it does. Yeah.
cool. All right. So
Um,
let me just get
I've
the
got
other
my
thing.
questions, and
You
I'm
know,
glad Michael's there. Thank you for being there, Michael, as well. So
yeah, yeah.
great.
The questions probably point around. I imagine. I hope because I don't think I showed you this when we spoke, right? So
No, but I've got two hard copies of it as well in front of me now. So
okay,
that's
cool.
great. Yeah.
Yep. So this is basically. I might just bring it down to 125. So basically, let me just explain this to you, right? So, and
Yeah,
then if you got any questions, then
I
you can
have.
fire away.
Yeah.
Yep. So essentially, social media marketing sits up the top in the communications house, right? So,
Okay.
um, in our world, that's the 6 sites that I just talked about in Facebook advertising, which Michael is also looking at as well. So,
Yes.
um, but what marketers call marketing, most business owners just call business, right? What
Okay.
what most business owners call marketing is actually marketing communications and advertising,
Right.
right? So
Okay.
that's where it sits. So yeah, it's about having a decent business and decent business strategy in terms of an online shop and how you want to sell the business,
All
and
of that.
having
Yep.
good pricing, and
Yep.
knowing where you're going to distribute it and all that sort of stuff, so
Yep.
that you can do that in a good way. It's knowing your customer. You know, um, clearly for you, pet owner for a start, right?
Pet owner, not all pet owners. I mean,
No,
certainly not $5 at Big W pet bed pet owner.
no, no, maybe
It's
not, but it'd be
yeah,
still worth getting their attention so that they know why they get something better from you, maybe. So pet
and get
owner
one
is
for
is
Christmas.
obviously the other thing is what makes you, and to your point, why is your offer better than a Kmart bed?
Yep.
Effectively because it's
Yep.
handmade, recycled, um, you know, luxury, whatever, and it looks
Yeah.
better, not out of some sweatshop, probably wherever it was done,
No.
right?
Well,
So
it is. It's my little sweatshop. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's right. And then you're unique. You've been doing this for a while. I love the fact you've got that sort of indigenous background as well, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so yeah, they're the three things in terms of making it compelling for people wanting to buy off
Yeah.
you, right?
Yeah.
And how
Yeah.
you get competitive advantage. Um, Basically, we've talked about this, right? So, content marketing is simply the words you use and the images you show. So,
Yeah.
basically, that's content marketing right there, right? On social media, I think I said this to you last time, we don't use Canva over our images. As soon as you put Canva on images, it suggests to people, oh, they're trying to sell me, right? So,
Right.
even when we're doing advertising, now I don't know if Michael might do it. The only exception to that might be, to my sense, is that um, is on Instagram where people otherwise don't generally read the posts. But on everything else, we've been taught to read posts. We know that we're going to read something, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And we know that generally. So for me, there used to be a knock on the algorithm as soon as you put fonts and things on the top. So again, you'd get less people seeing it because you've got font styles and other branding over the top of it.
So,
They
well, hang
no
on. What do
longer, yeah.
you need to? Yeah. Just can you clarify all of that? You mean when you're using Canva to design something? Is that what you're talking
So
about?
what I'm saying to you, the pictures that we use are the
Yeah.
pictures that you've currently got on the website.
Right. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so we just use clean imagery, right? So
Right. Okay. Yeah.
we don't we don't add.
Oh, I
Uh,
know what you mean.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
We
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry.
The only thing that we do, and we have capacity to do through our scheduler now, is watermark images. If they're your images, then
Yeah.
we'll watermark them so that people don't go and pinch them.
Yeah.
So we do have capacity to do that.
Okay.
But anyway, we also know, and I think I said this to you last time, social media works best when clearly people are doing other things. I mentioned business networking is important for me. Going
Yeah.
to markets might be important to you. Um, you know, uh,
Yeah.
uh, I don't know if you're doing any email marketing, any,
No, nothing.
you know,
There's absolutely
yeah,
nothing. It's
and a
just
lot of
you
yes,
and it's Michael, and that's it.
yeah, yeah, and again, there is some risks in that. Just so it's inherently risky when you're using a singular approach. Having said
Okay.
that, um,
I am
off,
going to do some stuff
yeah,
before Christmas, but nothing online.
yeah. So I mean, Michael would understand this. So what you're wanting to try and do probably over time is at least, if nothing else, create your client list and your prospect list, right? So, um,
Yeah.
so um,
That's what
you
I
know,
don't have. That comes up, I think, on Michael's something you've sent me, I think, or is it from you, Steve, about client lists and stuff. I don't have that. I
yeah, yeah,
don't
yeah. No,
have
that's
any
right.
of
So but at the moment, you said you've basically you haven't been too busy over the last year, so that's
No,
something that's
I've
going to be
sold
built. Yeah,
none,
yeah,
one bed.
exactly. So again, you can't have a client list if you've not been selling
No,
a
no,
lot,
I've
right?
had
So
inquiries
yeah,
on the
yeah.
Global
So
Sisters site, but
yeah, yeah,
that's it.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. So the reality is that I had a discussion with someone last week where really they just wanted to use a Facebook advertising that's it strategy, and I kind of said, well, we're probably not the ones for you then.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
effectively, we're using a holistic social media marketing strategy. All I'm saying to you is not to say it won't work; it just often works better
Yeah.
if
No,
people are doing other things. And look,
I
the
believe
thing
you.
that you are doing that is the immediate improvement is recognizing that your website's going to become more search friendly.
Oh gosh, I
You're
mean,
going to
look,
be
that's
that
been
sort of
from
stuff,
word
right?
go. It's just
Yeah,
always been about money for me. It's
yeah,
just
yeah,
it's just so tough
yeah,
to move
exactly. Oh yeah,
forward
yeah,
when you don't have funds to go, right, bang, you can do that for me. You can do this, because
yeah.
I'm good at the creating and styling and designing, but I'm useless at everything else, and that's fine. That's cool.
Are you a
You guys are here.
just that does remind me? Are you a Supply Nation? Can you be a Supply Nation business? Do you know? With
I,
the Indigenous community.
I've got no idea. That's all really new for me going down that avenue.
So,
Supply Nation. Okay.
you should really look at Supply Nation because, as there's often a lot of funding and a lot of support
I know,
through
but a lot of these
through yeah.
funding and grants all come with, you've got to have some fantastic business plan there. Now, I have got a business plan of sorts going at the moment through Global Sisters.
Yeah, yeah,
But
but often they'll
it's,
help you with that. All I'm saying is you should
yeah.
really be aware of Supply Nation because
Okay. Well, I am now. That's
Yeah,
for
Supply
sure.
Nation is a directory of Indigenous business,
Yeah.
and there's all sorts. If you Google that, you'll be able to
Oh,
see. And so
sure then. Yeah,
it
absolutely.
might be there might well be some funding avenues for you.
Okay.
So yeah, I definitely sort of suss that out.
I'll check that out.
I'm always reminded. One of the ladies we work with, um, she has a little son, same age as my little bloke, and I think he has like a toe or two that are of Indigenous,
All
so
right. Okay.
maybe a 5% toe,
Yeah.
a bit like my ownership in greyhounds in the past, actually. But yeah, but there's a lot of benefit in that,
Yeah. No,
in terms
I
of
know
a
that.
childcare and
Absolutely.
all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I reckon that's awesome. So if anything that you can, and it's something that certainly it might be a strategic relationship. A lot of the stuff that we do is around sort of building that strategic relationships as well. And so I was lucky enough to present at one stage with a guy who's pretty high with them, right? So I was like on the undercard, I think, in terms of the panel, but he was
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about some of the stuff that Supply Nation do with some of the businesses around the country. It's incredible.
Okay.
Um, Anyways, the strategy is simple in terms of the way we've used it for a long time now. We mentioned already how the website should be set up. Top left, your banner type should
The
be
banner's going to
similar.
have the products on it. Yeah.
But my suggestion to
Mhm.
you, your banner
Yeah.
should be very similar to whatever we're going to use as the social media banner. So I would suggest to you might use, if you're wanting to do more than one, you might have a transitioning dog on a bed, your best dog on a bed type banner, and
Right.
then something else, so if you're going to transition. Otherwise, at the moment, I would be suggesting you use one of those dog on the bed type
The
pictures.
multicolored one.
Just one of
Okay.
those, yeah.
Or
Um,
maybe so not two or three photographs then.
yeah, well, you can do that. Yeah, the only thing about two or three photographs is quite often it's quite difficult because I do like it when the montage type ones. You can do a
Okay.
montage.
Yeah.
Montage can work if you get a postcard. Just can be a little bit
Um,
tricky sometimes on the covers. That's all.
okay. All right. Because I
But
wouldn't mind getting one of the eighth collection that I do in there, as well as the multicolored one.
yeah, I think
Maybe
maybe
two,
yeah. Think
two
of it maybe
images.
like a postcard. Do
Yeah.
it do
Okay.
it like a postcard with one major image maybe,
Okay. Yeah.
and maybe three. Um,
Yeah.
but remembering you want a landscape image basically. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Um,
much I know. Not
yeah.
much else, but that much I
And
know.
so what we
Um,
talk about
and-
here, so so what are the key products, key services? You might want to have testimony that finishes up being on there. What's the
yeah.
call to action for you? It's probably shop now. When we do the ads, we put the pixel behind it as part of the planning session. There's a little pixel that records the flares going through the website,
Yeah.
just so
I
we
think.
know that the ads and the posts are working.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a question in there for me. I'll come to questions when we get to the end of this, if that's
Sure,
all
yeah.
right.
And then
Great.
clearly I showed you, we want your 6 socials up there, but we also suggest that people put your phone number and your email. How do you want to be contacted, basically? Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's another thing. I don't. Oh, something's happening here. I don't have a business number, but I can get that sorted out. And I'm just about to change over, so I've got my info@mariska.com.au, that sort of thing
Yeah,
for
yeah.
emails and stuff. So that's fine. I can sort that out.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon you're more of a hello@mariska.com.
Hello. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Hello.
Definitely. Yeah, I
Yeah.
am. Just
Maybe
dance
go
in front of
hello
me
at.
and you'll get my attention. You
Yep.
know.
So anyway, we've talked a little bit. So we're posting to the 4 main social media. And because Google enables us, we're also posting Google updates, right? Clearly, we're not, if you've got a video, we can work through and put them up. But essentially, we're posting through those 5 channels. Um,
Yeah.
we know that less than 50% of businesses have a social media
Yeah.
presence, and that's usually a Facebook page. And of that Facebook, page, less than 30% have ever advertised. So all of a sudden, you're talking about 5 to 10% of businesses.
So
Yep.
okay. Now I've got questions, particularly around that area.
Yeah, yeah.
Why is it? Or do you want to get to the end first?
Oh yeah, no, I'll just finish off this last little bit, and then
Yeah.
as you said, and so yeah, so we basically know that very little. It's small business. There's 2 million
Mhm.
of us in Australia or more. Very few of them, maybe 5%, are using it in any strategic way because they haven't got a presence and they're not advertising. That's the 2 key elements. And then, like any good marketing, you should do your sums. How much does it cost me to do an audit, consult? And so they're one-offs. How much is going to cost me to do ongoing management, and what am I going to budget for ad campaigns? And
Yeah.
then
So,
ultimately you need to look at, and for you it's probably, you're going to need to look at, okay, how many beds am I selling?
yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
the harsh reality is
Well, I
that,
don't,
that's what you want.
there's a lot of things I've looked at. I don't need to sell many beds to cover both of
Yeah,
you,
yeah, 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 yeah.
out
So
there
but
doing
that's what
stuff.
you want to have
So,
happen, right? Is that you want to be
yeah.
covering. And as I said, if there's ways that you can get grants and things towards
Yeah.
maybe our
Yeah.
services, even better, because people love spending other people's money. But yeah, far away. Go with some questions, and then I'll
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So, well, if we just, excuse me, jump back to this number 4. I'm about to change your screen, but I can't change your screen. So where it says, 50% or less than 50% small to medium businesses have ever used social media, and the one after, the 35%, is that purely because small businesses don't have any money, or a lot of small businesses don't have the money to go, hey, you guys go and do this for me? Is that why?
It's a combination of, those stats are kind of, they're from the Yellow Social Media Report, which comes out every year. Um,
Okay.
but what is the stats around small businesses that fail? I mean, so you'd only have to look at that to then it makes a bit of
A
sense that,
lot,
then at
I would
50%,
think.
yeah. So, and at the moment, you particularly look at the moment, you don't. One of the things around the stats that I've often seen is that failure rate is actually not necessarily accurate. When people say
Okay.
how many businesses fail over 5 years,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
more accurate figure is that very few businesses actually ever start. It's not
Yeah.
that hard to get a sole trader,
Yeah.
and actually
Yeah.
call yourself a business.
Yeah.
But as I said, the main reason is the wherewithal, right? So often,
Yeah.
if you're good at making dog and pet beds and homewares,
Homewares. Yeah.
realistically, does that mean you're going to be good at doing social media marketing and bookkeeping?
No.
Probably
No.
not, right? So
No.
that's
No.
that's to your point, right? I think there's an element with social media that, and even sprouted by certain people, that you should be able to do it yourself. And
I know.
so,
I'm
yeah,
fed up with hearing that from people.
yeah,
Well, you can do it yourself. Just
yeah,
try. Well, it's like, nah, it's not going to work. I can't stand it.
yeah.
I
And look,
can't
my
stand
business is
getting
named.
online and doing anything.
Yeah. So my business is named on the basis of my biggest competition is DIY, right? So
Yeah.
it's people doing it badly and really
Yeah.
with no sort of objectives.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I guess as you said, but to your point, yeah, look, who can afford when you're starting out, to be doing certain things realistically when, as you said to me before, it's about getting food on the table. And so that's the reason why people do it themselves, is because I can't afford to pay somebody else to do it at the
Yeah.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah. But if it's not making any motion, nothing's moving forward, then it's pointless.
Yeah.
And you've got to raise the funds somehow to inject in to make it work. And I mean, I've had some friends saying, "Oh, Mariska, don't spend money on that. Don't do it." And it's like, yeah, well, you know, you're not an entrepreneur. You don't want to do that. I want to take that risk. I'm willing to spend this money,
Mm.
and do 6 months, and let's just try and make something work. So
Yeah, and we
it's
don't lock anybody in, and that's what I was saying to
no,
Michael as well. Yeah,
that's great.
that's just so
Yeah.
you know. I mean, if people, realistically, for whatever reason, I mean, look at the 18 months or more that we've had, right? So I've had plenty of people that have put us on hold throughout that
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah.
Many can't open their doors, right? So it's not
Yeah.
too much point doing social media marketing and Facebook advertising when you can't
Yeah.
open.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so but it is, yeah. Look, it's at the end of the day, you're clearly at that lower end, Mariska. In terms of, but for me, I've
Very
never had
definitely.
a client, and I often say this, right? I've had bigger clients than you, but I've
Hmm.
also had smaller clients than you probably as well, right? So
Yeah.
um, the reality is, I think you've got a good business, and I'm kind of, and this Michael and I had this conversation. This will be a good story and it will be a good story whenever it finishes because you'll be so much better than what you were when we've just done that audit, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah. No, no.
however it plays out, this will be a good story, I think. And
Yeah,
I think
I
I
think
said
so
before.
too. I've got big dreams,
And for me, it is often the case. I don't want to. It's important for me. Oh, sorry. I'm just trying to get that back up. It's important for me not to care about the businesses we work with more than the business owner.
Okay.
So, but second to you, I do want you to do well, right? So I don't know why that's not loud. Oh, there we are. Yeah, I do
Yeah.
want you to do well
Yeah.
ultimately, because if you do well, then you'll tell other people, and it's good. And I'm sure, Michael, you're the same sort of thing. We want the people we work with to do well ultimately.
Of
I mean,
course.
Yeah.
yeah. And that when you came back to me, Michael, with whoever the director is, I don't know who the director is, but I was like, wow, okay, so that's great. So I need to make the most of that opportunity. Now, Michael, oh, are we still going, Steve?
Oh yeah, I just took back to page one just so that people understand, the objectives of why we're doing it. That's all.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
So,
Yep.
and then you've seen the other stuff, but yeah, yep. So, but unless you've, yeah, it's only if you've got other questions around. Let's
Um,
finish on this page. So we know today, if people proceed, we don't charge the audit component. We just charge for this component. So realistically, but we don't do that until we don't charge until we have a date set up when we're actually doing the setup and
right.
planning session,
Oh,
right?
that's
So
that's fine.
yep.
Yeah.
So um, and then and yeah, so realistically, then the option becomes, so as I said, that's a 3 + 2 hour session.
Yeah.
You could choose to do that all in one go. I reckon 80% of people do it all in one go. If you don't have your website ready, I'd suggest you just do the setup in the first instance. But even
Okay.
then, you may wait for both until we know what your logo. The two key things for us is, well, there's
Yep.
probably three key things, right?
Yep.
We want to know what the logo is going to look like on the website,
Okay.
and we're going to
Yeah.
use it on everything. We want to
Yeah.
know what cover image we're going to use across everything, and we
Which
want
is
to,
what, the banner?
yeah,
Is
the
is
banner,
that
correct? Yeah, the
right?
banner
Okay. Yeah.
slash
Yeah.
cover image, and
Yeah.
we want to know why slash about you. So we want that why about you to
Okay.
be consistent on everything. Yeah, so that's the copywriting. So they're the
The
three
why
key.
about me?
Well,
What do you mean?
about us. So
Oh, oh, okay.
realistically, yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah.
there's
So
no I or me. There's
yeah,
us. We.
yeah.
Yeah, is that
Well,
right?
that's right. But about us is basically, what you produce, why you produce it, what they're produced from, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So it's
You're
just
going to
a
send me a
paragraph or
copy of
two.
this. Yeah. This video,
Oh yeah,
this recording.
but
I'm
as you
going to
said,
need it. Yeah.
I'm assuming from your correct. Yeah, I'm assuming from your from what you're doing with the the web developer. Hopefully, they'll come back with you with some of the stuff because they're usually a standard tab, right? About us is a standard tab on a website
Yeah.
usually, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And or
No,
it's
I've
either
got someone separate writing copy and someone separate doing web
yeah,
development. Yeah.
cool, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, as I said, if you've got a development site, there's potential here that the tail will wag the dog, right? So, and that's not unusual in terms of the social media tail when we're actually going through, particularly with new websites.
Yeah.
We'll go through and we'll be putting stuff on the social media sites, and then we
Okay.
might go, oh, actually, we should probably tweak that a little bit back on the website because maybe that could read a little
Okay.
bit better, So, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Gosh, there's so much there. I've got questions, so many questions. So, okay, okay, so that's fine. Just bear with me while I go through this. So,
Do you need me to share this screen anymore? I could probably turn that off, yeah? Unless you want me to keep sharing
Yeah,
the
no,
screen.
no, no. I've got everything hard
Yeah.
copy here. I can't read that even with bloody
Yeah, it's a
glasses
bit
on. I'm
small. Yeah,
so
it is what you
blind.
printed.
So
It's
just
it's what you
touching
printed
on
off.
figures, right? So just touching on figures.
Excuse me.
Um, so how much is this audit costing me, and when do I need to pay that? That's fine.
Yeah, so that was $203, and you don't pay that till we've booked in the setup and planning session. Yeah. So that's
Oh,
page
okay,
2. So that was page 2.
right,
Having said
okay.
that, if you choose to go away, and I sent you, you've got the proposals and you'll have the
No, I want to
video.
move forward. I want
Yeah,
to move
but if you
forward.
chose not to, then
Yeah,
I'd hit you up for 400,
yeah.
407.
No, 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 no. There's no
I've got
choosing not
Michael as my
to.
witness, and I kind
I've
of feel
made.
like I
I've
need to
no.
no, it's all
Oh,
right.
because he's got mum.
That's right.
Okay. Um. Now, where was I? Right. Yeah. No, no, no. There's no not moving forward. There's only moving forward, and that's it. So that's fine. So and then the setup and the revision is how much?
So that's
That's what was
$1,017.50.
the 607? There's a figure of
Oh no,
607.
the 610 is the setup. So that's plus the 4. So that page 3 of the document that you've got, right? So page 3 of the doc. Yes. So maybe I will share my screen again, just
Oh
so.
no, I've got them here. It's all right.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah,
I just yeah,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just
So
I'm
basically,
rushing. My brain is rushing, so I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
taking it in. Right. That's all.
Page 3 is the one-off stuff, and the ongoing option. So you've got a setup of 6. That's the 3 hours at
Yep.
$610.50,
Yep. Yep.
um, and then the 2-hour planning session is 407. That's what I think you just said. Then what are they? So,
Right.
and so that's what
Okay.
adds up to that amount.
1070.
That's
Yes.
and that's a
Okay.
that's a once off. Then
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
for you,
Yeah.
the question perhaps become, um, I'm
Well,
I'm
this is
think I'm thinking you're at an extra small sort of management level where we'd probably post every second day, which is $282.50 a month around management, right? Only on the basis that way you get a report every second month. You could,
okay.
because you're new. I don't mind. If you want to go at the 172, but then we're only reporting every 4 months and we're just doing 2 posts a week.
So
Um,
what with the reporting? How like at this point, how important is that with the
it's
reporting?
more about just kind of knowing if it's working. So again, as much as anything, you can
Okay. So
always,
you
yeah, we
wouldn't
look
be
at it.
looking to see if it's working or not.
Oh, we look at it, but again, it's just making that
You
assessment because
wouldn't
it
do
takes
anything.
time to write the reports up. That's all. So
Okay. All
it's
right.
very
Yep. Okay. I've got that.
it's very much to my target audience, which is the 45 something Mariska. So the reporting's mainly done for me to make sure it's
Yeah.
working, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
so yes,
All right.
I know generally speaking that just on a day-to-day basis that it's working okay, but it's
Yeah.
just how we explain it to people. I would suggest at least for the first month that you start on $282.50,
All
and
right.
then if you choose to bring it down to 172, that's fine. But it's one less post, and as I said, it just knocks the reporting out. So but I can
Yeah.
appreciate that. There's price sensitivities for you,
Yeah.
so that's fine.
That's a
So
nice way to put it. I like that.
yeah.
Price
So the other thing is the
sensitivities.
platform that we use. So with the
Okay.
extra small, you're just using the free platform where we don't have capacity to put watermarks and things on. And whereas
Okay.
with the extra small to small, we use what we call our gold publisher scheduler, which does
Okay.
enable us to do a few extra things that we can't do on
Okay.
clients'
All right.
free one. That's all.
Okay. And then okay. So
Hey, sorry
yeah,
guys. Mariska, have you got any questions for me? I've got to run. I've got a
you got, I know I
12:30.
was thinking. So when you called the other day after you'd spoken with Steve, you said just get some stuff done with Steve and then come back to you. So what was your
Big time.
timeline on that? Because I'm just thinking, oh well, I don't know. If I don't do social media through you, Steve, and I just get the advertising through Michael, is that going to work or not? Or
Nah, if anything, if you choose anything, I'd do it the other way around. And I'm shooting myself in the foot here, and probably my pay, but that's my honest opinion. You should be starting with your organic content first,
right?
optimizing that, and then
Yeah.
getting onto paid ads, even if it
Okay.
is just for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, a month. And I'd
And
be
then come
interested to
to
see
you.
what Steve. Yeah, I'd be interested to see what Steve's thoughts on this are.
Okay, because I don't want to lose. I keep calling you attention seekers, but it's attention experts. That's my
Sometimes.
dyslexic brain working. But yeah, I want to stay with you and definitely
Mm,
get that, and then hopefully
yeah,
have enough money to incorporate the both. That's what I'm thinking in my head. Okay, does
that's what it's
Yeah,
that?
all
we
about.
and we spoke about that. So at the end of the day, for us, advertising is a key component, but we don't realistically make too much money around it in terms of
Yeah.
we ask for 10% of the total spend where it's more than
Okay.
500 over the year and or duplicate campaigns, and just about all of our campaigns are duplicate campaigns. So
Right.
I'm more
Okay.
than happy for Michael to look after your ads and have him in as an ads manager as well. If that's what we spoke about. The potential is, it might be up for us to look at it realistically. Your low end, you're very small for me. You're extra small for attention
Yeah.
experts. I think that would be
Yes.
fair.
No, I
Is that
know, and
right,
that's why I'm so
Michael? I don't know.
very grateful. I'm just, yeah, really very, very grateful,
I
and I
think,
just,
and that's in a way, it's sort of, there is an opportunity for you. I like the idea that Mike and I literally live pretty close to each other, and are both boys from the actual WA West, and
all
so
right.
we are. It would be good to think there's a way that we can work with clients where, as I said, there's certain areas that we're about managing communications,
Yeah.
but we're not that precious around Facebook advertising if we know people can do a good job of it. So that's the reality. So yeah,
So why don't I start with Steve getting all this sorted out, because it needs to be sorted out, and then come to Michael. Does that sound good to you, Michael? And
yeah. Well, and look, at the end of the day, what the other thing might well be is that once you're all set up and going, who knows? There's probably elements of where I would have just enabled Michael. I mean, I don't know around this. We haven't talked around this, but if Michael did want to then take things back, then it might well be monthly management and advertising. At the end of the day, I'm not precious. I wouldn't know you unless Michael had,
no,
introduced us.
I
So,
know.
so, so,
Yeah.
so, all things being equal, it might be that we can put us on hold and you can flip across to Michael. So that's the other thing that
I
might
No,
well
want
finish
to
up
have you
happening.
both there doing it. That's what I want ultimately. I
I
want to
think
have
the
enough
most
money to say,
important
right,
thing is we get started. I think
yes, yeah, and I
that's
agree.
the
And
yeah, we all agree on one thing for sure.
I definitely want to do that. And yeah, it's just I've had a lot of negativity with friends, who just saying, "Oh, don't spend the money. You haven't got it." I've got a budget. I've basically got 1,200. I've pushed it up a month, and that's after I've got to pay these one-offs, and that's what I'd like to just incorporate both of you. If that's in a month with Michael and a month with Steve first, and then continuing, that's fine. But look, once the sales come through, then yeah, I just know this needs to be done. I'm
I think you should be very thankful you haven't applied that budget up until now. To be quite honest, you would have
What
lost that money really fast.
what with other businesses?
Well, just even if you'd been trying to do it, so I guess that's probably part of the reasons why your friends probably think that. Anyway, yeah, you could quickly spend money with, say, Yellow and various places where you'd spend that money really quickly on digital ads, and you're not set
Yeah,
up for that at the moment. You would lose that really fast and not
I
be able
don't know what
to.
I'm
Yeah,
doing though.
yeah, yeah.
It's
So
like
I
people
think
say,
it's
do
all
your
good.
own Facebook
Mike's got to
ads.
go. I can see. Yeah.
I
I gotta
know.
So
go.
Michael,
yeah, and
go.
yeah.
I will be back in touch. You're staying there. How long is the offer on the table for? That's the only other question. He's gone, is he?
Oh yeah, so I don't think you have to be worried, and certainly don't have to be worried and pressured under anything that we do, Mariska. So as I said,
Yeah.
from Michael or me, right? So believe me, the setup and planning days are my funnest days because all of a sudden people are going from looking pretty ordinary to all of a sudden looking pretty
I
good
know. I'm
and pretty happy
excited.
about
I just
themselves, right? And that'll be something for
want to
you
get going.
to be able to show your friends as well. And then
Yeah, I don't
um,
care about that. I want to show
yeah,
customers.
yeah, exactly. And so
but
the
I'm sure I
reality
will.
is, however it plays out,
Yeah.
it you've got the opportunity. I mean, if you're talking about that sort of budget, well, really remember if you're spending with, you know, short of, whatever, $282.50 a, um, a month with
A month.
me, that's a
Yeah.
lot of advertising spend that you could be spending with Michael, right? And you will be spent up if you're going to talk about that sort of amount, right? So, um, So usually, so we have other partners usually when it's paid ads because around Google and that sort of stuff because I don't believe that all money should go on Facebook, right? So I believe you
Okay.
should spread your
Because I
wallet,
think the
right?
deal with
So, yeah.
Michael is Facebook ads
Yeah,
campaign
yeah.
only. Yeah.
So I would be a keep your budget a little bit closer to chest because I think Michael and I were both surprised when all of a sudden that's a big amount. So for you at the moment, yeah,
Well,
around monthly.
it's well, it's. I
Yeah,
mean, it seems that it's 500 minimum
mm,
for management or 570 or whatever it is, and then there's a lot of places saying we want 500 minimum on ad spend, so that's $1,000.
yeah, yeah. But
And
again, that's right. So I think most of those ones. So again, we're doing so that's not how we work. So ultimately, we do that management, and then we can have others that spend a lot more time and generally take a higher percentage on the ads management, right? So we're a fairly low percentage because we're doing
yeah,
the posts anyway. I'm already posting about you. It's not that hard to
yeah.
turn around that and create that as the post we're
No,
going to
I know
promote,
a lot of
right?
businesses don't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So basically that's why we don't charge a lot because we're just promoting one of your posts, which is generally the
Yeah,
key one. Why you?
yeah,
Why should
yeah,
you buy from us, right?
yeah.
So but that's where it's pretty easy then if Michael's got something up. But I would again just be a little bit like uh, I think a good way to think of it is along those lines of, you know, you're just shy of 300 with us. Um, I think if you
Yeah, but
spent
there's ad spend on top of that, isn't there?
correct, if you
So,
spend
and
your,
that would be, yeah,
if you, so, but again, we're encouraging you initially. We would set up so you could, you're spending $5 minimum. We could do five or
yeah,
$10. But as I said, I'm happy to at least set up your Facebook because understanding what I've shown you today is not your Facebook Ads Manager. That's just showing your
no,
page. Your Ads Manager is separate.
yeah,
We set you up
yes,
on Ads Manager. We set up your saved audiences, all that sort of stuff,
yeah,
so
yeah.
that we can manage it and or at a $10 spend and or we can add Michael in as a manager and you can pay him directly and they might use however they do it. I don't know how they do it. So again, I can't tell you. I can't speak to that.
Okay,
But
yeah,
again,
yeah.
what you know is that you got a budget beyond the $300 management that we cost. You got a budget then for whatever daily spend you want to spend on your ads, right? So
You mean
yeah.
the ads if I go with Michael
Well,
in a
whoever you
month?
go with, yeah. So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
either, we suggest our clients spend $5 a day.
yeah,
You're a very much for me a $5 a day client.
yeah. No,
You-
I
You're
have to
absolutely,
be. Yeah,
you're absolutely a $5 a day client. It's very rare, right? So I haven't got it showing, but if you have a look at somebody, because it can take time. I've been doing bounty boxes probably a year now. She's just upped her ad spend because she's found over the last few months, for whatever reason, it's going
yeah.
gangbusters, right? So,
Okay, yeah. But
and sometimes it's not and so that's not to say she's not gone okay up until now, but
yeah,
she's just made the decision to up the ad spend, is what I'm saying.
yeah,
It's because
yeah,
she's now
yeah.
seeing, okay, I'm spending that ad. So that's more my point. With your ads, I think you'd be better off seeing that it works before going and spending $1,000 a month on something and then recognizing, well, okay, that's not delivered what I was expecting. You're better off
No, no, not
building
a
the ad
grand a
spend. Yeah,
month.
yeah,
That 1,200, which you
yeah,
said, I'm very open.
yeah, yeah.
I find it hard not to be.
Yeah,
And I'm, yeah, cursed for it probably.
yeah.
That's it. That is absolutely. So that includes management and ad spend.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
that's
what I've
right. So
got.
I think at the
It's,
moment, what you first said to Michael is you kind of have a $600 a month budget. Now there's
yeah,
the one,
five to
yeah,
600.
yeah.
Yeah,
There's the one-off cost of us getting you set up and doing that side of things. So once that's done, it's done. It's the equivalent, really, in a way, from what you've said, to 2 months straight away, right? So by getting
yeah,
set up and doing that, that's the
yeah,
equivalent of 2 months budget. But then I would suggest in the first instance, you start with with that sort of, really $10 a day makes it $600 a month. Remember,
yeah, yeah,
$5 a day makes it about 450, right?
yeah.
So it's up to you, in terms of how you do it. What you might want to do in the first instance, particularly given the cost of us to get you set up, is start at $5 a day, see how that's going, and then see whether you bring your budget up to $10 and or you just move it across to Michael after that first month. That's the other thing
Yeah.
you can consider.
Yeah. But I'm still going to need the social media though, because I'm not,
Oh, they don't
I'm not,
work. One doesn't work without the other. Just so you know,
yeah.
it just
And I'm
doesn't work.
not
As I
geared
said,
up to
yeah,
do it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I
So
can have all the friends in the world saying it's easy, just do it yourself. It doesn't work for me. I want to design and create. And so I do not
yeah,
want
yeah.
to do that, you
The, mo-
know.
the most important thing for me, as I said, is just
So,
making sure that all the content that I'm going to use, all the
mhm,
images,
is,
is on the website. As long as you've got your products on the website and you've got some images,
yeah.
and hopefully we start to build some imagery as well from clients and others that take photos and maybe send them through to you
Yeah,
so
that
you
would be
actually have
nice.
others,
Yeah. Yeah.
then that will help as well. Now,
Yeah, that would be
I
nice.
better go myself. Actually,
Oh
I've got
God.
a list of.
Okay.
So,
You've got,
is there anything on your list? Tell me, and if there's any
what's a
other things
touch
on your list.
point? What is a touch point? That's in there somewhere. What's a touch
Touch
point?
points means how many. So it's all about newsfeed, right? So you understand newspaper.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we're posting through 5 news feeds. So whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter. So in other words, it's people seeing your posts in their feed. That's a touch point.
Yep.
So that's basically
Okay.
just means that so often there's a sense that, particularly when we're doing brand awareness, you know, they used to say 7 times, I think, that they had to almost see your brand before it sort of stood out. Now I've heard it's actually
Right.
it can be more than that, quite a bit more now.
Probably.
I've heard it's
Yeah.
probably because of social media. It
Yeah.
need to be
Yeah.
multiple, and so
Yeah.
in ours, particularly when we're advertising, there's reach, which is how many people see you, and there's impressions. So often,
Yeah. I totally get
impressions
that.
is often much higher because it's the same person seeing you more than once. So
Okay.
basically, because they've shown some sort of interest, they might have liked the post, they might have
And
clicked
shown
through
a
to go to the
friend or something. Yeah.
website,
Oh,
they might
okay.
have commented on it, and so
Yeah.
those people, Facebook then starts to know they're interested in what you do, and
Okay.
so understanding that my job is to get them aware. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
heard of AIDA. So aware, interested, desire, and
Yeah.
take an action. And in
Okay.
social
Yeah.
media, the action is to get them to either call you or go to the website to find out more.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah.
that's the idea.
So yep, I know you've got to go. Okay, so what's after this then? What do we do then? What's
Just a
next?
matter of making a day that you'd like to sort of sit down and go through it. Yeah, so that's basically yeah. So usually Tuesday,
Okay.
Thursday is best for us, um, uh, and we have a checklist that we send you. Now that checklist is mainly for us to go through on the day. There's a
Okay.
couple of things that we'll highlight, and we've already talked about them, right? So what logo are we using? What cover image are we using? And yeah, just making sure that you can access the things that you already have. So just knowing how to get onto your Instagram and how to get onto your Facebook page.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
they're the
So
two main things. Yeah.
that okay, that's so good. I've still got loads of questions. I could probably sit with you for half a day, Steve, and just yeah. But anyway, but how long do we get on the when we do the setup thing?
Yeah. So it's 3 hours plus 2 hours. So it's a 5 hour day.
Yay! Oh God. Okay, I'm going to get a glass of something bubbly and cold for that one.
It is a good day. No, you'll enjoy it, and you'll learn a lot. But also, you'll realize that I'm doing it for you. You won't
I
be yeah.
know, and
So there's
I
no
just
so effectively none of this is so what we're called Diffy only because we compete with DIY, but to be
yeah.
perfectly honest, also because it sounds better than Dewey. So we really do it together, and do it with
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
doesn't make a good acronym. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it is really with most of the people, it's funny. A lot of the, particularly the ones I've worked with in Sydney, um, one of my best clients is from there, a guy called Roy Kawarski,
Right.
and I think that's the other thing. There's a lot of unsold benefits that we sort of do have. I'm a pretty active networker, right? So
I can
whether
tell.
it's through and
I
ultimately,
trust you already.
there's an element of I do have a heart for Indigenous as well. I think I said that to you last time,
Yeah. Yeah.
just because of where I'm from, and
Yeah.
yeah. So, but I don't go about sort of talking, But I have no doubt that there'll be all sorts of networks that I have, whether it be local or through whatever, that
Yeah.
you'll get some advantage from as well, and also
Yeah.
just the thinking around that, right? So in
Yeah.
terms of
Yeah. Yeah.
who will get you connected. It's a real opportunity for you, right? So
Yeah. No,
there's an
I
element
want to
of
do it.
when you're starting from almost green fields. So in
It
other words, when you've
is.
got where it's you've got not a lot. In some ways, that's
Yeah.
better because it means
Yeah.
that there's not a that we don't have to. plenty of times, Mariska, I'll have someone in front of me where their daughter set something up for them, or their best friend's sister,
Yeah.
whatever it might well be, and it's nigh on impossible to get access to things, and
Right.
they've been set up poorly or whatever the case, and so
Yeah.
it's often a lot easier to do things from scratch, where
Okay.
you know what the brand's going to look like. And you probably
Yeah.
needed until now to really think about a lot of this stuff too, right? So it
It's
might be an
it's
element of,
yeah.
so it'll give you the opportunity to sort of put out a lot of the things maybe you've been thinking about for 12 to 18 months, and all of a sudden it's going to be visual for you, and you're clearly a visual
Yeah.
person, right?
I
Um,
am
yeah,
very
but
much
but
so.
yeah, realistically, we hold hands on everything. Ultimately, um, everything we post, as I said to you before, I do say it hand on heart.
Yeah.
I I want it. It's mainly because I don't want anybody looking at anybody I'm working with and look at it and go, "Oh, that's not much good." Because I
Yeah.
know the
Yeah.
critical eye I look at it with
Yeah.
people's social media, right? So I'm pretty impassioned about making sure that anybody I'm working with,
Yes. No,
no
no,
one could
I get that.
possibly, no one could
And
possibly sort of go, "Why are you doing it that way, and why does it look
yeah,
like
no,
that?"
no.
Because I'm very,
I,
yeah,
I get it. And look, for me, it's just I know you've got to go, but I've just been people say, "Oh, put flyers out, do the markets, do all this sort of stuff," and it's
mm,
like we haven't been able to do that. And when I've done flyers, I haven't had much response, and it's
yeah,
just like
yeah.
you've got to throw some money at it.
Yeah,
You've got to.
when you actually do get back to being able to do that, though, you will find that this stuff will really help you, because all of a sudden, you can tell Steve, I'm going to such and such markets and I'm presenting there, and we can create it as an event, and we can post it on your social media. You can
Yeah,
invite certain network along, that sort of stuff. So there's going to be all sorts of spin-off benefits. There's always spin-off benefits. It is called social media network after
yeah,
all, right? There's always
yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
offline spin-off benefits from a networking
yeah.
perspective,
See, I'm
right?
a
In terms of that
face-to-face
sort of stuff.
networker.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. And
that's
and
me.
and look, I am too. I like to be perfectly honest. I think most of, and I say this, our generation,
Yeah,
as I said, the more mature business owner, we didn't get into business to have to, you know, do everything online and all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean?
no,
So it is about, and particularly in what I do, and I think even in what you do, as soon as you've got an online shop, people want to trust you and know that
yeah, and
they're
that's
going
a
to get it.
really important to
Yeah,
me as well.
yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, there's yeah. Anyway, I'm just really thrilled, and I I don't know what to say to Michael at the moment. So I
You
guess
don't have to
I'll
say anything to Michael at the moment, other than the fact that this is a good opportunity where he's going to have line of sight. I'm even happy to keep him on the project. So in a way, I trust Michael. I'm not too concerned around IP, because I trust Michael. There's an element of that may well
well, he
he can
definitely
he
thinks
can
highly
rewatch
of you.
he can rewatch the video. But Michael and I met through the Marketing Institute. I like Michael. We've got a lot of similarities, right? So in terms
Right,
of where we're
okay.
from, um,
Yeah.
at the moment, you've given us an opportunity to look at whether or not there's things we could do together, and that can only be advantageous. So at the
Yeah,
moment, it's
well,
just as he said, we'll step it through. Let's look what it looks like. After we've done the setup and planning, let's look what it looks like after the first month, and then let's see what we do additionally or change or whatever it might
yeah,
well be. Yeah.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
think
I'm
he's
very
happy with that,
excited.
and
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be good.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Hopefully, a good
That's all
case
good.
study for us both. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
No worries.